What's up, guys? Welcome back to the JP and Trav Show on the JP and Trav Show YouTube channel. As always, it's your host with the most, JP. And obviously, you can see, Travis is not here, my co-host. He's actually doing the East-West Shrine Bowl. And so, he's down there getting ready and prepared for that. And my guest tonight is a big friend of the show and obviously family of mine, my Uncle Byron, who's, like I said, been on here plenty of times, so you guys are probably pretty familiar with him. But he's back on the show. Him and Travis actually saw each other today.
Got to meet up with him, and he actually ran his profile on me, so that was interesting. It was honest, and it's a good product. So if you're in the market for his product, definitely check it out because it was quick and it was very accurate. So good stuff.
Yeah. No, it was he's down there doing his team sports consulting group work, and so he's VP of that company, and so it's exciting for them to get able to do their work and work their magic on some of those players and showcase what they can do. So
I'm a little offended though, because every time I'm on, he's never on. So I'm gonna take that. I take that a little personal.
I'm gonna have to, we're gonna have to get you back on for sure. It has been a minute now I think about it, but
yeah, I think he's dodging me. I'm gonna have to mess with him.
I mean, hey, I'll say he saw you in person before. I don't remember the last time I saw you in person.
I know.
It's too long.
Sheesh.
I know.
Wow, that's bad.
No, but
I don't live up there anymore, and I don't go up there. So yeah, you're right.
Texas.
We got to change that when you come down and see your mom and them. I have to meet you in the city or something.
For sure. But let's kind of hop right to it. Well, first of all, for those of you maybe who don't know, I'll just say this. Byron has extensive experience in football. So he's not just a random person. Obviously, he was a 20-plus year scout for the Indianapolis Colts, and just know that you could trust his football knowledge. And so, with that being said, we're gonna jump into the conversation that I know a lot of people have been having, and that is like Jim Knowles is going to Penn State, and there was a lot of smoke that he was going to be OU's defensive coordinator, and that did not happen. And so, my personal opinion on it is, yeah, like it sucks. Like it would have been nice to have Jim, but I think Jim would have been just icing on the cake, in my opinion, because the defense is not what the issue has been or was last year. The defense, was top 5 SEC defense, and they were number 2 in the nation in rushing efficiency. Like the defense is clearly on the upward trajectory. And even if we didn't get Jim Knowles, we still have Brent Venables, who, in worst case scenario, if he has to call plays, I know it's not what he wants to do, but he can, and he would be fine doing it. Now, like you said, like we talked about, does he want to do it in a year that probably defines the rest of his tenure? Probably not, but can he? Yeah. So I'm not as worried about that. Obviously, the offensive stuff is more worrisome to me, but Chat and Byron, I don't know how you felt about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. Yeah, you would love for him to be here, but if he doesn't want to be here, see you. Well, that's on to the next person. It no sense in sitting crying about it or wondering what if. Let's move on and get our guy. I agree. Travis and I kind of talked about it yesterday, and he brought the point up too. Like Arbuckle is the hire. That's the guy. If he can take care of the offense, Brent can focus on the defense. And, if the offense, he doesn't have to worry about it, that'll make him even better on defense. Because even last year, was it the Auburn game or Ole Miss? Even at, when they stopped BV going in or coming out at halftime, he threw shots at the DC like, we need to turn up the pressure or we're not doing this. And so clearly there was something there that he wasn't happy with. So, if he has to be a little bit more hands-on, as long as the offense is doing what it's supposed to do, I don't see how that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Just get a competent guy on that side too. So, to take some of the pressure off him so he can be CEO, which is kind of what the head coach has to be. But um, I'm not too worried about the defense. It's Arbuckle and his crew. That's the side that I'm more worried about than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I think that at the end of the day, the offense is what's going to make or break this next year. Um, you got plenty of talent coming back on the defensive side of the ball. You've added Marvin Jones Jr. at the edge position, and there's been plenty of you and that Byron. I know you and I have maybe mentioned it once or twice over our texting conversations, but I don't know if you've been seeing me talk about it on Twitter on the show, but plenty of people, are not super happy with some of the um, talent or in their minds lack thereof that we've picked up in the transfer portal because they see it as, you know, we're being group of five U, taking too many, smaller guys that are for smaller universities. And my take on it was, obviously those guys, especially at the wide receiver position for the most part were, had production. But Marvin Jones Jr., until I'm kind of going on, he obviously has been at two large programs, Georgia and Florida State. And so obviously we hope that he can, provide support in the role that, Ethan Downs and Trace Ford did and maybe even be a little bit better of a pass rusher than either of those two were in the last few years. But the reality is like you can talk about highly rated recruits and getting guys from bigger programs all you want, but if they didn't produce, like that doesn't just automatically mean that just because we get them and you know the name that
Mm-hmm.
they'll show up. And then guess what? When they don't show up, who are you gonna blame?
Right.
Coaches. So
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
what do you
And the whole stars thing is overrated. Like, there's how many 5-star kids don't pan out, how many 4-star kids don't pan out. When OU was rolling, we would take 3 and 4 stars and outperform people with 5 stars.
yeah,
Texas. We in Bob Stoops era when we were rolling, like we would get kids in Texas, and Texas didn't want them beat Texas. So it's not everybody gets caught up in this star and that star. It's about development and identifying talent that fits your system. It doesn't matter. Sam Bradford was what, a 2 or 3-star?
3 star, I think.
Yeah. Like, I watched him play against my high school in the state playoffs, and I was like, whoa. I mean, that kid was throwing darts. So it doesn't matter where you get them or what their star is. It's what they do when they get there. And like you said, most people that produce, it's a track record. The best indication of future performance is past performance. So if you're productive in high school, you're productive in college, no matter what level, you're probably going to produce wherever you go. So that was one of the big things we did in scouting. We had to know a kid's history. And that's true more times than it isn't. That if a kid is productive, it doesn't matter what level he came from, he's going to be productive. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it. As long as we build competition, that's the one thing we need. We need competitiveness, like at every level. Quarterback. Just because the guys coming in, that hey, Hawkins, what you got? Go beat him. That's the thing that you got to build competitive depth at every level. So I'm glad we got another defensive end. Hopefully he'll come in and push people, and the front seven is going to be salty and they all want to play. So hey, let's just compete. There's snaps on the line. Go get them. I'm not. If you don't want to compete, get out.
Yeah.
See you. I don't. If you're not going to be competitive, that's the kind of program you got to build. So I'm all for building competitiveness, no matter what level they come from.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think that ultimately Jim Knowles was going to do what he wanted to do. And if he's from Pennsylvania and he felt like, man, I'm going to get $3 million to go home. And I know a lot of people felt like, well, his fiance is in Oklahoma, women always went out. And, the reality is like, you can say women went out, but so does Grant. And I know that Oklahoma obviously was willing to pay him a lot of money too, but like, a lot of times money wins out too, like, because if he told her, well, hey, look, I get $3.4 million, or you can just move with me, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just going to be the reality of the situation. And so, yeah, I think that it'll be okay on the defense side of the ball. I truly believe that we got all our guys back, and you know, I
Yeah.
reject the notion that because Jim Knowles didn't come here, that I saw somebody say the other day that big time coaches, big time players don't want to come here, and I'm like, I don't really buy that because I mean,
Mm.
Arbuckle was a sought after coordinator, and he came, even knowing what the situation was. John Mateer obviously came.
Yep.
He was the number one quarterback in the portal. Michael Fasusi, who's the number one, as of today, the number one rated offensive tackle in America, decided to, continue to sign with Oklahoma. So I don't know. I reject that notion. Obviously, I think that this is a big year for us. But the last thing I'll mention as well before we move on and kind of move it more to the chat here is that we also kept a bunch of our defensive players.
Which is huge. Our front seven is going to be filthy.
Yeah,
They
but
were good last year, so you're
yeah,
adding the. I mean, it's just going to be. It's going to be. They're going to give people problem.
yeah,
Everybody. All season is starting, so people are going to get stronger. They're going to get bigger. It's another year in the system that a lot of these guys that didn't get a lot of playing time now they've played. So I think they're going to take an even bigger step next year. I think they're going to be really, really, really special on that side, especially in the front seven. They're going to be tough.
yeah, 100%.
So I'm not worried about, like you said, I'm like you. I'm more worried about offense and what happens over there than anything that can happen on defense.
Yeah, yeah. D. Anthony says, like a wide receiver room this year, a lot of guys who got a lot to prove come from small universities, and I mean that's true. That's a true statement. A lot of times, when you've been overlooked or you have a ton to prove, the reality of the situation is you're going to come in there, you're going to work your butt off. You're not going to be NIL minded that to the point of
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not going to do this or obviously some of the stuff that we heard coming out from this year of people just not deciding to play and wanting to right. So
Yeah. It's competition. That's the thing. We'll have people behind them that can play and that want to play. So yeah, I'm all for it. Good. I'm excited about the wide receiver group too, getting everybody healthy, and let's see if the big dog is healthy and he comes with it, and definitely got a quarterback with an arm and a proven track record of getting people the ball. So should be good. Like I said, it's about competing at this point. I don't want to hear a bunch of talking. I don't want to, it's time to do it. It's, you got resources and now this is your opportunity now. So there are no excuses for anybody in the Crimson and Cream this year.
yeah, 100%. This is the year. This is it.
Yeah.
Opportunity. So we'll see where it goes from here. But what have been your thoughts on Oklahoma basketball as of late? It's something we've been talking about as well.
Man, did you see the rebounding last night? That was god awful. Like, ooh,
it wasn't
man,
great.
like, what are y'all? Like, put a body on somebody, folks.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad. That's as bad as I've seen rebounding wise. So when you get pounded like that, man, that's just I'm not a big Porter Moser fan, but that's not all on him. Like when you get out rebounded like that, like that's a pride issue.
Mm-hmm.
We had to challenge Bryn. My daughter plays basketball at Incarnate Word in San Antonio. For you guys that don't know, she's a freshman, and we had to get on her a couple of times. Like, dog, they killing y'all on the boards, and you standing watching. What are we doing? Go rebound. Go put a body on somebody. It's not hard. Rebounding, a lot of it is want to. I didn't see that last night. I don't know if that's them giving up on him or what it is, but it's not good right now. I'll say that. They started hot and everybody was excited, but you get in the league play where everybody in the league got some dudes, and it just doesn't look like we got the guys to compete right now.
And actually, I mean, I'll give SEC credit. At the time when we were leaving the Big 12, the Big 12 was probably almost unquestionably the best basketball conference.
Yeah.
But this year, the SEC is unquestionably the best
monster. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got
bottom.
Everybody got
the worst team in the SEC is like top 100.
Yeah. Vandy
So
got dudes. Like, what are we talking about?
yeah,
I
yeah, it's
agree. It's
crazy.
tough, man. We gotta pick it up.
Yeah,
And the women, they try. They're better, but they're just not. They don't have the horses to be up there with
yeah,
the South Carolinas and
yeah,
UCLA's and that type. But they're better than what they have been.
for sure.
The big girl from was it Oregon State? She's done a great job bringing
Hmm.
physicality and she plays big. So they got some good recruits coming in next year too. So it's trending the right way, but you just got to get those McDonald All American types. That
Yeah,
South Carolina got 10 of them, and
yeah.
everybody else got the rest of them. It's spread out throughout the country. So she just got it rolling right now.
In Oklahoma, I mean, I think they have the ability. I know Oklahoma's a football school, but they have the ability to be a really good basketball school, in particular in this NIL era, because I mean the Sooners have, in the last really, I mean, yeah, the last decade and a half have two big NBA stars who obviously just put together an initiative
Right,
and Trey
right.
Young
Yeah.
and Blake Griffin.
Yep.
And they're two dudes that love Oklahoma and are
Yes.
from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like what they're doing, and obviously Blake Griffin's already, donated a bunch in, the Griffin Sports
Yeah.
Performance
He
Center.
built.
Like
Yeah. Yep.
they're doing a ton. And so I think that can only help. But I think the issue is, if Porter is, going to consistently do this, like almost good enough but not making a tournament type thing, then you have to get somebody in there who's, going to be able to, do more, not with less, but, with
Yeah.
who they have. But I think they have the potential to get guys. I mean, even before NIL, again, some of us homegrown, but Trey Young, Blake Griffin, Buddy Hield. I mean, we've had some really talented guys come through the University of Oklahoma on the basketball side. And so my hope is that, we see them figure it out. I don't love all the time their, and I feel obviously a notion to speak on this because, I'm a basketball guy. I love football, but, I played varsity basketball through high school. Probably could have played in college if I hadn't busted my
It
ankle last.
runs in your family too.
Yeah, yeah. My aunt played at the University of Oklahoma.
She's
You
one of the
know,
best high school female basketball players I've seen.
yeah.
Yeah.
One stayed at Ardmore when she was there. Obviously, my dad and my other auntie, like they all played, and were very good. And
Hmm.
so, I had an opportunity to win a state championship with my team last year, and so I I just don't love. Um, Sorry, Grace was calling me. I'm gonna have to text her to hold
Hey,
on.
Grace.
But I don't love their stagnation sometimes on offense. And I'll be
Yes.
honest,
Yes.
that doesn't always. I really don't believe that always falls on the coach, and
No.
that it's
No.
frustrating because like a lot, like you talk to any coach, like a lot of times as a coach, you run 5-on-0 all the time. You go drill after drill after drill into their heads like this is what we do in this situation. 2 minutes left, you run situations like all this, and then they get on the floor and it may just be whatever, but they can't take a he can't take a timeout all the time and
Yeah,
just
you don't have
you
that
know
many of them.
yeah, he can't just waste his timeouts. But
Mhm.
that's how I feel about it, anyways. So
Oh, I mean, like I said, I see it with my daughter. Like, there's times the play breaks down. I'm like, okay, the play is dead. Go make a play. Somebody go make a play. Do something. And it happens at all levels. The one thing I will say about getting guys is that they gotta clean up. They gotta do something with the facility. It's the Lloyd Noble is very dated. Um, we went to camp there the past 3 years, and one of Brent's AAU teammates that's at Oklahoma State now. She was just her parents were shocked that the Lloyd Noble looked how it looked. Like, this is y'all's arena.
mhm.
Like, the practice part is great, but the rest of it is trash. They probably should look at like what Baylor did. They had
Yeah,
a big arena similar to the Noble. They built a smaller one that's more intimate, but it's real nice. It's real loud. So they definitely got to clean up the facility because that's an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely gotta figure out something. We shouldn't look like we look.
I really thought OU basketball would be competitive after battling in the Big 12 every year. But they actually got some dogs, and they absolutely do.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think playing Kansas, Kansas State, like you say, the Big 12 TCU was good when we left. There was a lot of Baylor. All of those teams were good. Yeah, you would have thought that we would be way better than what we are. And it started out so well, and man, it's just it fell off. And I have no answers as to what it is. Like, I don't think it's all on him, but part of it is him, because if the guys don't look motivated to play for you, that's on you.
Yeah.
And you got to fix that. So something got to get fixed because we shouldn't be where we are.
Yeah. 100%. I agree. And to be honest, like, it's crazy that all this happening and they're still 15-5. Like,
yeah, I saw that last night. I was like, we really tripping over.
So it's not, it could be worse for sure, but at the same, and they beat good. I just don't know what happened. They beat good teams at the beginning of the year. Like, yeah, they weren't SEC teams, but I don't know. They beat tournament teams.
Yeah, so absolutely.
I think that's why it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Man, like, that was hard to watch yesterday, though. God, that was
hard. Who do you think needs to have really good winter workouts for the Sooners this winter heading in spring ball?
Offensive line. Every last one of them. That's gonna make or break how good we are on offense. So the young guys coming in, they need to, get that 10, 15 pounds of muscle and change their body and, start getting used to, playing against grown men. And I think the offensive line is critical. That's number one. That's, we gotta be better there. We gotta be not only better physically, we gotta be better up here. We struggle picking up stuff and the concepts that, O-line coach didn't forget how to coach overnight. That didn't happen. I've talked to him a bunch of times, scouting and trying to set up workouts. And, every kid that came that we interviewed from the O-line, they were great on the board. They understood concepts. They could draw it on the board. They could talk it. So he's not, he hadn't forgotten how to coach. So we gotta, some of it's on the guys. There are sometimes you saw busting protections and calls and he's losing it on the sideline because I know he didn't teach them to do what they did because it doesn't make sense if you know football even a little bit. So, that I think spring ball for that, to kind of get them going in the system and how it's going to work and start building that chemistry up front is going to be critical. And especially he doesn't like to rotate guys. When Cody Ford was a junior, he didn't play a lot because he got hurt early and the line jailed. And, he almost didn't play him just because he didn't want to break that continuity. That's him. So he wants to get 5 and stick with that 5. So it's going to be important to figure out who those guys are and get them going the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. We've had numerous conversations on here about Bill Bedenbaugh and his unnecessary haters that, like, they'll take to I don't know, Byron. We know how fans are, but it's just like I understand to you. You're like my you're telling me my eyes are lying to me, and I'm like, I mean, you have everybody and their mama that knows football that's worth some, like, in the league, say that Bill Bedenbaugh is one of the most respected, if not the most respected offensive line coach in college football. But you, because you feel like you see things and you ain't played down football in your life, he needs to go. He's whatever. I'm like, yeah.
There's a bunch of guys playing next weekend. There's a bunch of guys in the league now that got big checks that he's directly responsible for. And like I said, if you've sat in a meeting room at an interview, when one of those guys are interviewed, they are extremely prepared. Every one of them. Every one of them are really smart. They understand concepts, and so he knows his stuff. If you say he doesn't, that's not true. He knows his stuff. We got to get better guys. So now I don't know what his role is in that, but we definitely got to get better people, and they got to perform too. It's like everybody else. You got to perform when you're out there.
I don't know what they go like. Obviously, we need to see performance on field, but like then they try to say he couldn't recruit, and I think arguably you could talk about. Yeah, I know he's not like. I know he doesn't love recruiting. I know that for a fact, but I think that people are like, well, if he's doing all these things, why isn't he getting results? And it's like, I think that's a piece of it. I also think like NIL, the way it is right now, that's a piece of it too. Like if they're not willing to spend money on offensive linemen, then like that's not on him.
Yeah.
But now like he got the number one offensive tackle in America and another very highly rated offensive tackle.
And if you look at the tape, both of them play how the old offensive line used to play. Both of those dudes finish.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen anybody finish a block this year? Yeah. I ain't count on this hand how many times I saw somebody actually finish somebody. And I just remember I can't remember what year, but we played Texas the second time for the Big 12 championship. And they took 44 from Texas, and it was like they passed him along the line. He ran his mouth, and all five of them took it personally, and they thrashed that dude for 60 minutes. Like Breckenhager, I think his name.
Yes, I remember that.
They destroyed that dude for an hour.
Yep. I'll never forget that. He was talking.
Destroyed him. Like we don't have that. Where is that? We don't. There's no dog.
Yeah.
Where's your dog? Just line up and just drive somebody back. Put them on the ground. Well, Creed. He learned from all of them. He was a young pup. He came in. He learned under all them dudes, and he was the same way. So we need a guy. Where is Baby Zeus on this line to set the tone? So that's what I'm looking for. I want to see these guys get physically bigger, physically stronger, and then for it to transfer over to the field, because we were not physical at all last year.
Yeah.
No dogs, no toughness. Nobody. When all of those guys were there, we played. Anybody played OU on the defensive line, that's the first tape we watched, because those were NFL linemen. That's what we wanted to see them go against, and that's who we judged you against. So we got to get back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, at this point, that's kind of what we wanted to chat about, and obviously chat. I know there's a few in here. Sorry for the late start. I'm getting home from a Pacers game and different things. And that, first of all, we won, but the Indiana-Detroit rivalry is trying to come back, I guess. And I don't know who watches NBA basketball, but Isaiah Stewart is Ron Artest before Meta World Peace 2.0. Because when I tell you, this man already got a text trying to fight James Johnson, which that's crazy in and of itself.
You don't want them problems, dog.
That you would even try to do that.
No.
So he was yapping at James on the bench, got a text, and then not 2 minutes later, just like going to box out and just Thomas Bryant, and I'm like everybody's like, what happened? And Thomas Bryant was mad. He was trying to fight him. And the next thing we know, we're actually watching the review with the rest on the big screen, and everybody's like, is he crazy? Like, he must be out his mind, because why would he? Obviously he's gonna get kicked out of the game for doing something like that. I don't know, but that was crazy. But the game was good. Obviously, we won and everything. But anyway, sorry for being so late. Appreciate everybody that's in here. So if you're in the chat or if you're on Twitter and you can enter in something, please do. But let us know who you think needs to have a big win on workouts, and then we will go ahead and open up Q&A. And again, for those of you who are just in here, coming in from Twitter, on Travis's account, we typically post it on Travis's account, just, because he has a lot of reach and we want people to come in and see the channel. Byron is my uncle, and yeah, he's known me since before I was born, basically. So, but he, 20-year scout for the Indianapolis Colts, and so we've had him on here on the show numerous amount of times, talk about drafts, talk about Oklahoma things. He's also an alum of the University of Oklahoma as well, and so he's a big Sooners fan. Bleeds OU. Were you born in Lawton? Is that right?
Yeah, born
Yeah,
and raised in Lawton, Oklahoma.
that's what I
Had an
thought.
uncle that played. He was roommates with Lucius Selman. He got there 70 to 73. So
There
that's
you go.
all I've known is OU football.
Yeah. So, anyways, I like to say, please, any questions you have, whether Oklahoma football related, if you have NFL questions, questions about his years as a scout for the Colts, that was, his direct years were all the Peyton Manning years, glory years, that we all got to experience, together up here, thankfully. And now we're in,
Boy, hey,
we're
it's
in
a lot of
hell.
drama up there.
There's a lot of drama.
Yeah.
Pat has decided a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, I heard vets calling out the quarterback, and
yeah,
I was like, oh,
yeah.
it's been
So
spicy up there.
yeah, no, yeah, it was. It's been something, that's for sure. But yeah, if you're in the chat, or if you're able to, whether you want to comment on Twitter, I'll try to look for it. I don't know if you can activate it so that they can show up in our chat, but please ask some questions, and we'll kind of get going here. One of the questions I had, was, what do you think about, Billy Bowman had a really strong day at the Senior Bowl yesterday. I think he was making waves. Got posted a lot. What do you think about Billy Bowman's prospects as he goes into the draft?
Okay, first thing, this notion of draft stock, don't ever say it. It's not true. What happens is everybody's going to go to these all-star games, and then in the next week or two, everybody's going to go in for meetings, usually for about 3 weeks, and you're going to grind through tape. And that's what's important, is what he put on tape. I think he's athletic, solid kid, no issues that way. I know a lady that taught him in high school. She loves him. Everybody loves him. So it's nothing character-wise. It's just what he did on tape. Can he clean up the tackling, and can you clean up his eyes in coverage? That's the big thing. So hopefully, he can. You don't make big jumps. The bowl games are good. Like, they may move you up around. A combine, usually the way we did it is it broke up clumps. Like, you have guys on the same line in the same position, and then the combine would separate them that way. There aren't huge, he's flying up the draft. No. I can't remember one instance where that ever happened, that somebody just flew up 3 or 4 rounds. No, the most I've seen a guy move up was like from the bottom of 3 to the top of 2. So they don't know what they're talking about if they say that. So hopefully, he's shown he in high school, he was a great returner. I thought, I thought he should have been the punt returner over, I can't think of his name now, 22. But I thought he was dynamic with the ball in his hand in high school. You saw that when he did intercept the ball. He took a lot of them back. So he has that going for him. So I think he'll be a mid-round pick.
Okay.
He's got some size. He's tough. If he'll play special teams, he's going to have to, he'll make his hay doing that. I think he's tough and willing enough and good enough kid to do that. He just got to clean up his eyes. I thought that was the big problem with him. Eyes and tackling. He misses way. You can't. And they were bad misses. Like, he's one-on-one in the hole and he whiffs. Those are, as a safety, that's a big concern. So he's just got to show that he can clean that up, and he'll be okay. But I think he's a mid-round, 3 through 5 type kid.
Okay. Boomer129 had this question earlier. He wants to know what your thoughts are on these recruiting services and how horrible they all seem.
Another thing we did in Indy, like, we would watch tape as a group. So you get to evaluate the evaluator when we're all watching as a tape. So just look at who evaluates these dudes. And a lot of it is algorithm based. A lot of it is just stat based. They see a bunch of stats. They don't take into consideration who it's against or what it looks like. You know, they're the top 25 guys in the country. Sure, they're easy. My wife, she's an athlete and knows basketball, but she can scout the top 25 football guys. They jump out, you know. But it's the 3 and 4 stars. That's where you make your hey, and just look who they recommend and who they don't. They're not, they're just
Yeah.
it's a money grab too. A lot of these kids, they have people paying to put them on these lists and move them up, and it's a lot of that goes on even with NFL lists too. So it's
Yeah.
all of that combined. But just look at the body of work of these scouting services over the years, and then base it on that, how
Yeah.
right they are.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of scouting services.
Yeah. There it's interesting. I talked to one of my buddies. I don't know. I don't know if you've ever met him. One of my best friends, Darian. I don't know if you've met him. Maybe you've heard about him or seen me talk about him, Byron. But
I just see a
um,
picture.
his little brother
Mm-hmm.
is a monster. He'd be 6'3", 220. He's in Rogers right now, Arkansas. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we got family in Rogers. Um, he has he received his 23rd D1 offer today from Purdue. Um, Arkansas did not offer him until 2 weeks ago, which is beyond ridiculous.
Right.
And I'll get to that here in a second. But he's not like on 247 or he's on 247 rivals, but he's not rated. He has he has no like, and it makes no sense to me because how does a guy with 23 offers, how is he not rated?
Right. Yeah.
Like he's at least a 3 star.
At
I
least.
mean, he's got like Utah, BYU, like almost all the Big 12 schools are after him. Wisconsin offered him last week. Like he's got big time schools
Yeah.
after him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I went and looked the other day online. I'm like, where is he at? Like, but he hasn't done a ton of camps. Like his family don't send him to those things. Like they go to church. They do these different things. Like they'll go to some camp. He does team camps. He don't do all that. And so like, maybe that's why. I
That's
mean,
part of the problem. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a camp. That's like a combine. It's underwears and shorts.
yeah,
That's not football.
yeah,
What does the tape show you?
yeah,
I got something in the works that I'm not going to speak on it yet, but if it comes through, it's going to be people actually looking at tape and evaluating them, not a highlight, actual game tape and evaluate them that way. That's what is important. It ain't about numbers. Nobody, you don't know. Um, you don't know who they're playing against. That's one of the first things I met Mean Joe Green when he was scouting, and that was the first thing we were talking about in Dominican Sue, and he was just talking about one thing you got to know is who that guy is going against. He's like, that's one of the first things you find out because if that's a redshirt freshman or a sophomore, and he's kicking the crap out of him, okay, you know that. But when he's playing somebody that's closer to his level, what does he do? So if this guy's a big fish at a little pond and he's racking up all these numbers, but athletically you know, he doesn't meet the whatever the bottom line numbers are as an athlete. Those numbers, they're not really legit. You got to watch the tape. So any scouting services that are looking at profile tapes and not game tape and looking at stats, that's not how you evaluate. It is what the game tape shows.
yeah, yeah.
At any level.
Yeah, and that I guess that to me is why it doesn't make sense. Now I'm gonna tell a story, and um, I don't know that okay, it's cool because I haven't said the kid's name. You could probably look him up, but y'all are my JP and Trav show fan, so I'm gonna tell y'all this story. Um, so I was talking to Mama literally at the Pacers game. She called me at the Pacers game, and we were talking
Mhm.
about all the offers and everything, and she was telling me about how when Sam Pittman came down to talk to him and offer him, which they didn't know necessarily that was about to happen, he sits down and he goes, "Well, that was fast, or this has been a fast process." And his mom goes, "Well, actually," and then the boy goes, "Mom, like, where is but he was like, no, like it's been a fast process from the time the tape got on my desk to now. It's been a week." And she was like, "It's not been a fast process. It's been an incredibly slow process." She was like, "He's been going to Arkansas camp since he was in fifth grade. When he was in seventh grade, um, him and Kane Archer, who again, I don't know if you know that name or if anybody else knows the name. Kane is a four-star quarterback in this class, and
Mhm.
he's had you know SEC, Big Ten, Power Five offers since he was a freshman. One, because he's a quarterback, but he's pretty good. Anyways, all that to say, him and the young man played football together all the way through travel football together all the way through fifth through eighth grade, and so they're really close friends. They don't go to the same high school, but they're really close friends. And so Kane has been offered since freshman year, and so she was like, they were at your camp in seventh grade, and I'm not gonna lie, I lied and I put them with the high schoolers, and they held their own and busted some tail against the high schoolers in seventh grade. And you came personally and you talked to my son his freshman year, but now we just get an offer, and now you saying that it was a fast process and that you just saw the tape. And I yeah, I was just like, it was asinine to me because I was literally talking to a buddy the other week who lives in Denver, Rogers, but he's an Oklahoma fan, and I was DMing with him, and I was like, I just don't understand. Like, I I don't know if they waiting on another SEC team. Like,
That's a big part of it too. That's
I'm
a
like,
big part of it.
but I was like, other Big Ten teams and Big 12 teams have offered him, and I'm like, I understand you're in the SEC, Arkansas, but you're not like you're middle of the pack to the bottom in terms of like your tradition.
Facts.
Period. So I'm like to me, if Utah, BYU, Michigan State, Stanford, Duke, Wisconsin have offered him, and he's 20 minutes away from you, like,
Yeah, why wouldn't
you know
you?
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what? Why not? Why haven't you even been talking to him? Which
Yep.
that wasn't happening.
Oh,
And so
it's
it was just crazy because she didn't go off, but she was like, like,
yeah,
I'm
I
sure
get it.
been waiting for this offer, and you know we're glad that it's here now. But my
Yeah.
word, like it's just insane that would happen. And I really want Oklahoma on him. Like I don't just say that. Like, obviously I'm an Oklahoma fan, but Zach was on him like before he left. Zach last summer took his take to BV, and BV was like, "Yeah, let's get him on campus," and he was. And I mean, I think that there's a chance that you know working throughout this year, maybe if Zach was still there, maybe they would have eventually given him an offer, and maybe they still could.
Yeah.
I don't know, but obviously Zach's at West Virginia, and West Virginia just offered him 2 days ago. So again,
Yeah.
Zach wanted him, but I don't know. I think he has a shot to be a really good outside linebacker. He plays. He had 1,000 yards and like 18 touchdowns for a wide receiver, but I just don't think he's fast enough personally at
Right.
the collegiate level.
Yep.
But yeah, he's a beast. I'll just send you his tape or something.
Okay.
Let's see what
I,
you think.
the camps are, and I haven't done a lot of football camps, but I've seen basketball camps, and a lot of time they're money grabs. Like
Yeah,
they don't pay attention. Bryn, my daughter went to. She went to a camp. She won. She was second in the Queens of the Court, so it's 1-on-1. She was second or third in that. Her team, they had like two different 3-on-3 things. Her team won both of them.
Yeah.
Coach didn't even look. Coach was looking at her phone. They didn't pay any attention. The other players were telling her like, you might want to look and pay attention. Like, and she played well. She wasn't just on the teams that won. She played really well. And so they played that team this year, and she hit them up. They were on. She made a kill list. That team was on the kill list, and she hit them for like, I think she scored 15 and had like 9 rebounds as a freshman, and they didn't pay any attention to her at the camp on their campus, and they didn't know anything about it because they don't pay attention. Now she went to another one. She loved OU's camp. They do a good job. By the time she went before her senior year, they knew her name. And Texas State, they had a great camp. They had like Excel sheets. So any kid that stood out, they get together, they talk, they put like each coach could see which kids when they went to their stations to pay attention to. By the time we left that camp, every coach on that staff was following her on Twitter. So you got to pick the right camps, and it's hard. You got to talk to people to know which ones are money grabs and which ones aren't. Which ones actually pay attention and are looking to find people, because a lot of times they can be money grabs, and people fall through the cracks that way.
Yeah, 100%. It's just insane because you find guys. I mean, okay, we want to be for real. Jaden Jackson was a 3-star. How?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Who made that evaluation? Like, who did that? Because there's no way.
Also, Kirby, I'm sorry. I know Kirby's carrying the chat. He's like, why is the chat so dead? You know, he feels like he needs payment commission. When you stop being so negative, I'll pay.
He got it, Kirby. Make him open that wall. He got it.
I got it. Yeah. Yeah. I wish we're making the big bucks over here. Boom watching. I said another question for Alex. Should colleges be recruiting in different countries? I'm thinking Nigeria would be a great place to start.
No, absolutely not. We did that in Indy. We brought a couple of rugby guys in. They don't know anything about football, and maybe in college you might have enough time to develop them. So maybe, but they just are so behind, and you have to spend so much just to get them to catch up to be able to function. Like the guy we brought didn't know how to put on pads. They had to buy him a Madden console to teach him so he could kind of learn enough about football to not get killed. Like he was so raw. Now going through the drills where you could just run and jump and do that, he was great. Like he was phenomenal. But putting it together to actually play football, I mean, it takes a lot of investment and a lot of time, and they may not ever get it. So it's tough. Like unless they play football in those places, like we play football, it's hard. It's real hard for those dudes to ever get good enough to function.
Yeah.
It's real hard. And we did it. Like we had a guy that was his job, is to find like an international guy, rugby, soccer, or something. But it took a lot. And that dude never got close to being able to. He never was even active. We carried him on the practice squad for a couple of years, but he was never good enough he never got good enough to actually compete for a roster spot. Yeah. It's hard. It's a lot.
Kirby says we're stopping teams from signing sumo wrestlers as interior linemen.
Height. They're usually real short. They're usually really stiff. It doesn't work.
Freddie Boss 7 said, I didn't know football when I was in Africa. That's a good idea.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the dude was a phenomenal athlete, but golly, it just didn't transfer.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't even put him in live drills because they were like, this kid's going to get killed.
It just doesn't click.
No. It's a lot of moving. It's easy to do drills when it's one-on-one or one or two people, but when there's 21 other people out there, and And I tell everybody, if you're close to an NFL training camp, just go watch. If you want to know speed and kind of just go watch an NFL training camp practice and watch the big people. Watch how fast they are, because it's too fast for. I mean, just in scouting, like when we left camp to go out on the road to do college stuff, I would have to tell myself, and I'm going to OU in Texas when I left camp. I'm like, these guys aren't as slow as they look, as they're going to look when you get there, because you're looking at pros. Like these guys aren't as slow as they're going to look compared to pro guys. So the speed difference is just it's real. That is a big adjustment.
Yeah. Curry asked. He he said it. He said it earlier in a way that I can't put across because we're a family show, and I told Kirby that. But he said he wants to know about for whatever you can say about how Jim Irsay was as an owner, because obviously his perception is that he's outside, is that he's a druggie, and he is running the Colts into the ground, and he's whatever I say. So
when I was there, he was actually very good to anybody that worked for him. He was good. When we had that lockout in 2011, he a lot of teams, they cut people's salary, like scouts and coaches, they cut their salary. He didn't. He paid everybody. He didn't do that. The Super Bowl we won in 2007, he flew the whole building. He gave everybody a ticket and hotel room. Every person that worked there. So he was good for me. He always did philanthropic stuff. I can't speak to any of the other stuff because I signed some papers when I left. So, but he was good to us. Like he never got in the way. He actually is a football guy. He played in college a little bit before his back got messed up. He scouted. My uncle that got me on with the Colts actually took him on the road and showed him how to scout. So he knows football. He can actually watch it. He can talk about it. And he wasn't in the way a lot. Like he didn't miss.
I feel like that's in my opinion, and this is just from, I don't know as much as you, so I'm not gonna act like I do. But from outside looking in, I don't think that he's not Jerry Jones.
No.
Like he's not Jerry Jones. I just think that we've had some unfortunate things happen in the last decade. Number one being that we ever hired Ryan Grigson. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I'm just based off of
what Ryan was as a scout. Ryan was great to work for.
Okay.
As a scout, like the way he took care of us was great. Now there were other things, some of the decisions he made, and the stuff that happened with people in the building. I can't speak to that, but I heard it was bad.
Right, correct.
I heard it was
which is where I'm coming from.
But Ryan was great.
What I've heard. So you have that, and due to that, and just the nature of the way things played out, you have a generational quarterback that gets injured so much, and just to the point where he decides to be done with football when Chris Ballard comes in, right? And I'm not personally a fan of Chris Ballard for multiple reasons. But also just we have just not, since Andrew retired, we have not been able to have a guy that has been able to play quarterback sustainably. I mean, Phillip Rivers did a good job and got us to the playoffs, but he was a one-year rental. Carson Wentz was a failed project. Matt Ryan was a failed project. And then now you have Anthony Richardson, and I mean, he's looking to potentially be a failed project. Now he's not, he's not completely to be written off because I think he's shown some things, but we have to A, see him healthy, and B, we have to see him, actually want to be that guy at the end of the day. And if he does, his traits are all there, obviously.
Right.
But I just feel like we've had some rough things happen, and it makes it seem as if, Jim is running the show or making things do whatever. I think that it just sucks because it feels like we've had good teams, like we've had talent, but for whatever reason, through whether it's injuries, whatever, we've just not been able to make work. And now, like, obviously, this past year was just what it was, and now you have, former Colts turning on the organization,
Yeah.
and so it's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, no, he was never like he never sat in our meetings. Uh he never he never did any of that. Like
yeah,
the story when we drafted Peyton, Bill Polian walks in the room and everybody's got their notes and he's like, put those up. We're not gonna talk about the first two guys. That's why Jim's giving me he pays me the big bucks to do that. And he was hands off. Like the only time I heard him mention anything about a player was kind of when Saquon, when we thought we might have a shot to get him. He came in and asked, "Would y'all draft it back that high?" I kind of, we had great success with Edrin when we took him that high. That was the extent of it.
yeah,
So he was out of the way. He didn't do it. He wasn't anything like Jerry.
yeah.
But no, Richardson has more talent in his pinky than Ellinger had in his whole body.
Correct.
Thing with him is health. That's been an issue with him. He's never been healthy a whole season going back to Florida. And, from what everybody around there is saying, he got the work ethic stuff. That's very troubling.
Yeah.
And, he's got to work his way back from that was huge. Like when I saw it, I was like, you can't say that, son.
Nope.
You gotta say you were hurt. You can't say you were tired, boss. You cannot do that.
It's been bad all around.
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
I can only imagine what Quentin thought about that. I can't imagine. Like, them dudes never come out. So I'm pulling for him. I'm not rooting against the kid, but yeah, he gotta grow up.
Yeah.
Like, because the talent is undeniable, but
who's I think the best receiver in the NFL is, you better have the correct answer.
I'll let Kirby tell me who it is. I think I know. He's not that far from where you are.
Kirby is a Vikings fan.
It's not him. He's two. Sorry. It's his teammate. His LSU teammate is the best.
You think Jamar Chase is number one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're close. Now it's real close, and I'm not mad at him saying that that his guy is one, but no, I think it's Chase. But Jettis is right on his butt though. Jettis is right there.
He's upset. He said you need to be canceled for that take,
but somebody got to be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Kirby, you could be wrong. I get he's two. He's two. He's not. And he's behind a great, and it's like it ain't like it's a gap. It's like that. They're right there.
Yeah. Bagman, is my mic? Do I not sound good?
I hear you just fine.
Okay. So if I sound crackly or something on the other side of it, let me know. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy that they were at LSU at the same time.
Yeah. That team is one of the best teams ever. I think Miami is. I think 01 Miami.
Well, because they had it on both sides, offense and defense. LSU was predominantly offensive.
Yeah. And it was as it's panned out, it was the skill guys. It was the receivers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was good. Moss was good before he hurt his, he had injuries, but he was really good as a tight end for them. They were just loaded on offense. And then their defense was solid enough, They had Queen, they had the corners were good. So
they were good. They were good enough. They weren't like world beaters, but they were good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, they had corners, they had and they were loaded. But no, Miami just had dudes everywhere.
Yeah.
That was the best team that I've seen. I'm glad we won ours in 2000 and not 2000. Didn't have to mess with that monster in 01.
Yeah.
Because they were
Yeah, they were crazy. Um, this is another question. We're almost almost about that time to wrap up, but people are talking about Joe C, and I'll let you give your opinion, and I'll give mine. I know the question is for me specifically, but I'm interested to hear what your opinion is on Joe C, and if you think that college athletics passing by. There's a lot of people that think that he's checked out and it's time for him to go, and whatever else. So
I mean, you built the best softball facility in the world. They're going to build a new basketball arena. They just passed all the stuff. The head coach you hired, I know everybody's, kind of pissed at him, and I get it. But your defense went from middle of the road to one of the best in the SEC in a year. You got to get the offense fixed, absolutely, and that's BV's fault for hiring, um, firing the I don't even call his name, but we're not going to talk about him because he's gone. But you shouldn't have hired that guy. He's not good enough to be at OU, and he's a good guy, love him to death, and all of that. But that's the beauty of Joe C is he lets people do. He hires you to do your job, and he says do it. So BV fixed the defense. Got to fix the offense. You know, women's basketball is rolling. They're never going to be. They're never going to be South Carolina. They're never going to be UConn. They're not going to be on that level. Just the infrastructure of being at Oklahoma doesn't allow for that. But gymnastics is good. Golf is good. I mean, you look at it in totality. The athletic department is doing well. You just got to fix the offense on the football team, and then you're straight. But I don't to say that it's passed him by. No, I don't. I don't see that at all. And I've had conversations with him. I've sat down with him, and he's sharp and he understands it, and he's good.
that's a lot of people's gripe is the extension
Yeah,
with
but
the
that's the going rate. I mean, that's what happens when you go from 5 wins to 10 wins in year two. There's not a coach in America that's not going to get a big pay raise after that. Name
yeah,
one at a blue blood school that wins 10 years, 10 games in year two, and they're not going to get a big raise.
yeah,
Name one.
yeah,
You can't. Texas coach got a whole bunch of money too, year two, and you can't tell me they were sold on Sark after year three.
yeah,
No, that's just the name of the game. That's like getting mad at NFL quarterbacks for making 40 and 50 million. That's what they make. Don't get
yeah,
mad at the player, man. Get mad at the game. That's just the rules you got to play by.
yeah. Yeah, my take on it as an athletic director myself has always been, and I've been taught to be. I know there's a lot of ads that are not equitable and maybe don't believe in that, and believe in the whole, well, this program funds athletic department, or this program matters more than these other programs. I wasn't taught to be like that by my AD at the college I went to, because in my opinion, he's one of the best in America as well. And he's, at the small college level for sure, he's won so many awards. But I think he would do an excellent job at a D1 university if he wanted to do that, but he doesn't. But you have to give as much of the same energy to every program as you can, because your goal as athletic director is to be the director of all athletics, not just the
Football.
best team. And now I understand that, like, hey, you're going to need to get the hires right on your best team, because that's going to be where the most money comes from, and where you have the most support and whatnot. But like you said, the one BV's not completely, you know. I know obviously this is the year he has to prove it, but BV has not been just an absolute complete bust. That everybody thinks it's easy to look at it and say that, but if we want to actually take a step back and look at, okay, first year, they were up and down, not only with injuries, but just like in situations they had a whole new team basically. The defensive talent was not what it needed to be.
No.
The cupboard was left dry in that way. And could they, and probably should they have won more than 6 games? Yes, but that's reality. First year. Okay, second year, You get 10 wins. And could they have made the playoff? Yeah, they could have. Should they have made the playoff? You can say probably. But again, you have things that happened that just didn't fall our way, and that happens. I mean, ask James Franklin at Penn State. Like, ask him. They finally broke through because it was an extended playoff. And then you get this year, and you have catastrophic. Obviously, like you said, the offensive coordinator hire you can ding him on, but catastrophic injuries to the wide receiver room. The offensive line room was injured all spring and most into the summer. And I know nobody wants to hear those things, but it's just the reality of it. And so, yes,
And the
this is the
quarterback
year.
stunk.
Yeah, and the quarterback was not who they thought he was.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And
he was a turnover machine, and he's a good kid, and I wish him well, but he didn't play well.
yeah, um, I and I'll pause to address this as well. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, yes, obviously you need to make sure. That's why I was saying you have to make sure you get the hire right. And if you don't, if it's not right, and if it's going downhill quick, you got to make a decision because that's the quickest way you lose, right? So I understand that. But okay, let's see. Revenue generating sports, obviously for OU football is number one. What would you say is two, basketball or baseball? Basketball
I said
again. I
basketball and softball.
basketball. Well, yeah, now, yeah,
Yeah, now, yeah.
but
I mean,
you know,
you can't get a ticket to that.
basketball. Like one, Porter. Porter at the time he was hired was the hottest coach in college basketball. So you can say all you want. Oh, that's not a good hire. Everybody would have hired him. Everybody would have hired him.
Yep.
So like everybody's, oh my gosh, Josie got Porter Moses, he's a beast. So like I understand Porter hasn't been what we expected, but that's not, again, that can't be necessarily held on Josie because he made the best decision at the time. You go back to baseball, Skip Johnson. Like Skip Johnson has been great. Got OU to the World Series championship, and everybody's worried he's going to leave for A&M. And guess what? Josie said no, and he's here. But nobody
You're
wants to talk.
supposed to be really good this year too, from what I read.
Yeah, but nobody wants to talk about that, and because again, football, the revenue, so they won't worry about everything else. Yeah, you have the greatest softball dynasty of all time. Literally won four in a row. You have a program that has by itself put softball on the world stage by itself. Um, create a state of the art facility in Love's Field, and like you said, are planning on building a new basketball and an event center and everything like that. And I get it. Nobody wants to talk about that. They think that he's a penny pincher and that he's shot short on NIL. I mean, I think the compliance department is a part of that, and the compliance department has nothing to do with him. One, two, it is your job as an athletic director to make sure your budget is good. Like that's part of the job. Obviously, there are some programs where they run in the red just because of the nature of it. But Oklahoma should not be one of those programs because of how much revenue is generated in
And there
football.
is this thing called Title IX that you
Yes.
can't go wild
Yes.
with the spending either.
Yeah. And I think that people are just upset and they are getting on Joe C as if there's been nothing done. And I don't think that that's true. Even basketball, like Lon Kruger was great, a great hire especially after everything with Kelvin Sampson. You look at even football, like obviously Bob Stoops, and then even after Bob Stoops, I know he stepped down, but Lincoln Riley, like Josie could have
He
said,
didn't have to sign off on Lincoln.
he didn't have to.
Yeah, he could have went out and got somebody else.
Right, he did. And I know everybody's mad because Lincoln left, and maybe they put that on Josie. I don't know, but everybody wanted Brent. Everybody wanted Brent. Like that's why I think it's crazy to say like, oh, like he went like act like he went out and made some crazy hire that none of the fans were behind.
Mhm.
No, like all the fans were behind it,
Yeah.
and everybody was okay with BV getting that raise as well because he had a 10-win season and everything looked
Had the number one quarterback in the country come in, one of the top recruiting classes they've ever had, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, you just I don't see that.
Yeah.
But
So I think I understand somewhat people's
yeah,
frustration, because I think that from the outside looking in, things can look a certain way, and yeah, that's what I'll say about it. But I do also, just being an athletic director myself, I know that a lot of times, people have no idea what they're talking about, and they don't know what goes on day to day. They don't know, the really how expansive the role is. And I don't. I'll be honest. I don't even truly know at that level. Like,
yeah,
first of all, he has like 10 to 12 to 15 assistant athletic directors, which,
yeah,
I wish I had that. I run my athletic department basically by myself. But like, just the level of competence you have to run everything, and to have successful programs by and large. Um, there's a lot of people that consider him, maybe somebody wouldn't say the best anymore, but one of the best
best.
athletic directors in America. And I understand that the football program had a bad year, but that does not mean that Josie is now this washed up has been, because of literally 2 to 3 years of, maybe just 2 years of, like, a rough patch. Like, you act like he's made bad hire after bad hire after bad hire after
Right,
bad hire,
right,
which
right.
is just not true.
Yep,
Um,
agreed.
I think it's candidly false. So I don't know.
You don't think he was in Lincoln's ear? I mean, not Lincoln, in BV's ear this year? No, I've seen him. He's over there all the time. Like I've seen him. The majority of the time I see him, he's in there working out and going to talk to whoever the coach is at that time. So he's over there a lot. He knows what's going on, and I'm sure he and BV had a nice chat after this
Yeah,
year. Like, hey, this can't have this bull no more.
yeah,
So I don't think he sat back and just let it happen. He told him, I'm sure, in no uncertain terms, if this happens next year, we're gonna have to make a move. I'd be willing to bet he told him that. He doesn't, he's a no nonsense guy, nice guy, but he's about business. Every time I see him, he is about business.
yeah. No, 100%, 100%. And again, just addressing these things, and I know that DMAC said compliance got, again.
I agree.
I don't disagree with that, but that's
Our
not.
compliance department is cheeks,
They
from
are,
what I
they are,
heard.
but that's not a solely Joe C decision. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Like,
That's more so
that's a
the
University of Oklahoma.
yeah,
That's a Joe Harris decision.
that
So
yep.
that's why I don't understand. Like, y'all act like he. I know he's very powerful at the university, but like, they have to hold him in check as an
Yeah.
AD. Like, that's their job. So like, don't get mad at him. Get mad at the compliance department. And obviously, I think that hopefully there's steps being taken, like the bill that was passed a few weeks ago, that allows the University of Oklahoma to utilize funds in any way they see fit. I think will help.
Yep.
But again, that's where I feel like things just, people don't really understand the roles. And so if you
Mhm.
don't understand the roles and what somebody does, then I feel like there's assumptions to be
Yeah.
made about certain things. I understand that people feel like the LNC and the L. Mitchell, like they're not up to par, and I can kind of understand that as well. That frustration. My other thing on that has been, I'm sorry to go on a tangent about this contract. It's just personal to me, obviously. The other thing I don't think people always understand is, like, you success begets that stuff, right? Like, if people are consistently filling up a place, you're making it obvious, not only monetarily, that, like, I'm supporting this program. You have the funds to do it, but also B, like, you're making it obvious that, like, hey, we have a space issue, or an issue where, like, we need something that is more state of the art to be able to, accommodate this many people, or maybe there are ADA regulations you haven't, whatever. I'm not trying to get into the weeds of all of it, but
Yeah.
like
No,
that,
you're right.
that's the reality. And so, like, I get that the basketball team has done what they need to do this year, so I understand where I'm going with this, y'all. When I first made that first tweet a few weeks ago when they were 13-1, and the LNC was like a quarter full with a top 10 Texas A&M coming on the road, I was like, but y'all are mad that a new basketball facility is getting built, or y'all are mad that a new baseball facility won't get built, but other fans are coming and they're buying our season tickets and they're filling up. So you telling me, like, as an athletic director, you're telling me I'm about to go before the board of trustees and ask them to fund or a donor and ask them to fund a brand new multi-million-dollar park or multi-million-dollar facility with fans that, for lack of a better term,
don't show up.
it.
Yeah,
Like that makes no sense to me. And it doesn't make sense as an athletic director when you're trying to be efficient as well. Like, why am I like, yeah, I will update what needs to be updated in the facility, but why am I going to spend an exorbitant amount of money or beg somebody when I know what the answer is going to be? Because it's like, well, the LNC ain't getting full, so why are we going to spend $10.6 million on a new facility for it to just be archaic and nobody to sit in it? Or for L.Del Mitchell for spend all this money for other people to come. Because people don't come because of the new facility. Like, fans don't come. Like, yeah, you'll come for maybe a game or two. Like, oh, this is nice. Cool. Like, y'all don't go to Lusk Field because Lusk Field is nice and come to watch the 4-time defending national championship, best dynasty of almost all time team.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
So, anyways, sorry to go on a long tangent on that, but that's my life.
That's your wheelhouse. Absolutely.
That's what I do every day. And people ask me, like, this little kid asked me the other day, what was it? Shoot. He's in 3rd grade. I know this is trivial, but he's in 3rd grade. Mr. Posey, can we have a football team? And I'm like, I'm at a 1A school. We got 150 kids.
Right.
No. Like, I'm like, it's not that easy. I wish it was. And he goes, yeah, it is that easy. You just get a football and put some kids together. I'm like, yep. That's all that's needed. You don't need equipment. You don't need, you don't need, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's a lot more that goes into it a lot of times that people realize, or people think. So, and that's part of the job. I know Josie has thick skin for the most part. Yeah. Obviously, sometimes he can respond on Twitter, but for the most part, he don't say what he could say.
Right.
So, right. Yeah.
No, it's interesting times. Interesting times. This is a big year for everybody up there. So, like I say, we're headed the right way. I think the quarterback. I like the stuff I've seen of him. Just got to fix the O-line, and then we'll be all right.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're just gonna see what it looks like. Hopefully, spring game. I don't know. I know everybody's excited for that first spring game. I'm interested to see how this spring game is. People will be like,
"Wake me up week 4."
We need to see it. We need to see it on the field.
I don't care. I don't want to hear. I don't hear no talking. I don't want to hear. I don't care how they look against each other. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's get against some other people, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, I know a lot of people believe I'm a sunshine pumper and that I don't ever say anything negative or anything like that, or I'm not a realist. No, like, I agree. Like, I'm not listening to the offseason hype this year. Like, we need to see it on the field. At the end of the day, that's what it's going to be. And if it doesn't happen this year, if there's not 9 to 10 wins this year, BB's probably gone. So that's the reality of it. And I recognize that fully, and I agree with it. At the end of the day, like, I know things are happening, and life is happening, and other things, but it's a business, and Oklahoma cannot be consistently where they were last year.
Yep.
And if 3 out of the 4 years you have 6 to 7 wins, that's just it's
work at OU. that don't work at OU, and I love BV. He's a great dude. So I'm really pulling for him because as a person, I love him to death. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Some of the way he's kind of take up for people and kind of help guys out. He's phenomenal human.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely
Yeah.
rooting for him.
That's why I wanted to work so bad because he is a great dude.
Like a genuinely nice, just a good dude. I ain't gonna say nice, but he's a good dude. Good dude. I'd rather have a good dude than a nice dude, but that's a whole nother discussion too. But he is a good dude. So I just hope they get it fixed.
Yeah. These fans, man, they out here saying we want the Floridas and the UGAs. We want criminals in the pads. I don't care about graduation rates. I want to win. That's not the good dudes doing that. Is actually that was he has two,
Right.
and Brent Venables was his defensive coordinator for two of them. So that's
exactly.
not true.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I know fans they gonna say what they say, but I wanted to work out for BV. I do. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anything left to say? Thanks for coming on with me tonight, man.
Anytime.
Late, so
no problem. No, I'm good. Let's. I hope everybody's working. Everybody's getting healthy. Everybody dinged up, get healthy, and let's make a run at it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens and everything. But who knows if we'll hear a defensive coordinator hire between now and next week. I'm going to talk about the last 3-4 weeks.
He's going to be hands on either way, just because it's his butt's on the line. So
yeah,
yeah,
indeed. But we'll reconvene next week, and we appreciate everybody in the chat, even those that like you said, we disagree with. We can agree to disagree. It's okay because we all Sooners fans. We want the best for the team. I think we all believe that. At least we're not giving up on the team. So we'll see what happens. And we'll be back here next week to discuss any new news and everything. And Travis should be back as well. So appreciate y'all. Thanks, Unc, again for coming on.
Righty.
Boomer.
Sooner.
Ooh.